Podcast Flockeo, le podcast de la start-up engagée.
Bonjour et bienvenue dans ce nouvel épisode du verre à moitié plein, le podcast optimiste du tourisme durable proposé par Flockeo. Aujourd'hui, nous partons en direction du Sri Lanka, cette petite île au sud de l'Inde où nous avons rendez-vous avec Madame Kimarli Fernando, présidente de l'Agence de développement touristique nationale du Sri Lanka. Et pour votre information, cet épisode sera conduit en anglais. So good morning, Kimarli, and thank you for having accepted this invitation. So let's start this episode with the question we always ask first, and which is, can you introduce yourself and your organization?
Sure, thank you, and Ayubowan, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Well, I went from being a lawyer to a banker and now the chairperson of Sri Lanka Tourism, which is the government institution. And I have the honor really of being the first chairperson, female chairperson in this position. The government institutions, there are 4 institutions in tourism. So it is promoting and monitoring, regulating and educating the Sri Lankan tourism industry. So that has 4. And what we have done in the last 2 years really is under the regulation, we've used technology, we've streamlined, we've used social media in the promotions and experiences, particularly with it is the wildlife parks that we have, or the underwater and things like that, and the Helavedakama, the wellness and things like that. So, and the convention bureau is the one that we promote MICE, that is business meetings. And then we, of course, not forgetting, we have a school, which is the premium school in tourism in Sri Lanka that I had as well. And all the training for the industry, whether it is waiters, or butlers, or chefs, tour guides, etc., are all trained by us.
And so now let's talk about your destination, Sri Lanka. We know that Sri Lanka is becoming an increasingly popular destination for the last few years. And I'm just wondering what makes it so attractive?
Yes, Sri Lanka previously was predominantly promoted for sun, sand and sea. But we still continue to promote this area. We strategically look at promoting everything else that Sri Lanka has to offer. Sri Lanka has immense diversity. Our water-based activities, tea tourism, which includes the hill country experiences, the wellness tourism, as I mentioned, culture, heritage, cuisine, ancient traditions and customs. We have 26 national parks and we have all facets. And I think that Sri Lanka has really, it's a diverse, very authentic destination. And I think that the world has now recognized us for that. So travelers are looking to go to a place that is completely open, which Sri Lanka is. Our vaccination drive has been very successful. And so our whole country, unlike some countries in Europe who are partly open, we are fully open. And so they have unique experiences, whether going on a yacht and watching whales and manta ray, or going to a gem mine and mining a gem, or going to a paddy harvest, tea plantation. So Sri Lanka is positioned, I think, perfectly for a post-COVID getaway with wide open spaces. We have 1/3 almost of our island, which is forest. So people who are determined to escape the lockdown and isolation, I think, and tourists want to embrace nature, which we have, and adventure. We have abundance of that, besides, of course, our culture and so on. And the whole concept of the Sri Lankan culture of wellness, our food, our customs, everything is revolving really around wellness. And I think the post-COVID traveler will recognize that. And globally, of course, we are proud to say that we were recognized as the top 5 destinations in the world for wellness. We even surpassed India, I think. So Sri Lanka was recognized by Condé Nast Travel, Bloomberg, Travel and Leisure, Lonely Planet, and so many. The media coverage we had from BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, etc. So Colombo, in fact, the capital recently entered the best destination in the CNN 2020 travels. So yeah, I think people have found this hidden gem. We perhaps were not very vocal those days, and there's still more work to be done to reach the French market and tell them what a wonderful history and culture. And I know the French Citizens are very educated. They want to know about our culture and also the community and spend time with the community.
So Sri Lanka is the perfect place for wellness tourism.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you were talking about the COVID crisis. For 2 years now, we are living with the coronavirus, even if it's better at the moment. But it had terrible consequences on the tourism industry. So how did COVID crisis transform the tourism industry in Sri Lanka?
The tourism industry in Sri Lanka is moving very aggressively towards sustainability. I think Sri Lanka products is anyway full of untapped potential. And while we all agree that the pandemic took a lot away from us, I really truly believe that on the flip side of it, it also gave us so much back. We have learned, I think, to appreciate everything around us and become more aware of our surroundings. This is the same with Sri Lanka tourism. We took this time to reflect, to strategize, and how to evolve our products and our business model. We have identified niche, very unique Sri Lankan areas, which is wellness, as I mentioned. Digital nomads, we have several travelers who are staying very long periods, maybe almost 6 months to a year. They immerse themselves into our communities. They stay long, they work, whether they are digital savvy or they are teachers or project managers, they spend time, whether it is on the beach or in the hill country or in the cultural sites near. We are also focusing on film tourism. We have HBO actually coming next month as well again to do some movies. So we have documentaries being made from Europe, from Russia, from France, from Germany, from UK, a lot from UK as well. And also not forgetting India, which is a big market for us as well. So the Bollywood, they come regularly to us. This is an opportunity that we can showcase our country. We are also very focused on ensuring that all stakeholders in the industry are enabled to reap the benefits. So now, unlike ever before, they are given a voice. The SMEs, the smaller and medium-sized people, we support them. We try to give them a voice, opportunity to speak up. The global traveler also is seeking sort of experiences, experience travel, and they're moving away from this organized, sort of maybe even a little bit regimented travel. I think they want to, and Sri Lanka is ideally suited for that. So we are actually a country that never really went for mass scale tourism. We never went for mass scale and never will. So the highest number of tourists we had was 2.3 million in 2018. So we don't want to significantly increase. In maybe 5 years' time, we'll probably go to 5 million, 6 million, something like that. But some of our peers in Asia who went to 38 million, 60 million, we don't want to do that. We want to keep our island unique, where you get value for money as well. You get extraordinary experience, which we want to share with the world.
I didn't know that Sri Lanka was a destination for film tourism. Yeah, that's interesting. And now, if we talk more about sustainable tourism, because we know that in many places the pandemic had a positive impact on sustainable tourism because it seems to be the most resilient form of tourism. And so in Sri Lanka, have you seen any encouraging evolution for sustainable tourism since the beginning of the crisis?
Absolutely, even before, but now more so. And therefore, what we are doing now is creating a guideline that the industry has to adhere to on sustainability. And if they do adhere, we will be promoting them. Their destinations, single-use plastic to be banned, recycling, solar and wind. Solar we can easily have in our country because it's quite warm. And also the wind. We have reached out to international funding agencies to help us, which they have agreed, in fact. And already we have implemented for new investments, green building concepts, which is exactly using natural light, the air, the wind, and recycling and all that. We've already implemented that. So absolutely, and with the new investors, particularly I find now, strangely our investments went up in tourism during COVID. So international investors and local investors invested more than they did pre-COVID, which is quite interesting. because we also changed easier, made things easier and streamlined the process. But more and more of them are going into sustainable architecture. And it's boutique hotels and villas, wellness retreats, and things like that. And people are moving away from large structures. And also, what is useful for us is our ancient architecture. Our ancient architecture was really sustainable. And so people are glad to see that they're really going back to sustainability. And lastly, actually, from a government perspective, we are making certain tourist sites which are owned by government also sustainable with zero plastic and things like that. So yes, big focus. I think every country who's in tourism will move towards that. I don't think that's any longer an option. And from a Sri Lankan perspective, it's really important. We are a small island. We are susceptible to climate change. About 50% of our Sri Lankan citizens live near the coastline. So we are very aware of climate change, actually. So we don't need much convincing to make the right decisions.
Okay, it's very interesting what you say about the peak of investment during the COVID crisis, because I think in France it's not the same. It was very hard for the tourism industry. So it's good to see positive example of a country that could have good benefits from the COVID crisis for tourism. And also, so you told me that in Sri Lanka you don't have mass tourism. You never had mass tourism in your country?
We never went to mass scale, yes. We never went, and we don't want to either.
Yeah, you don't want to?
Unique, yes.
And so now about your biodiversity, do you have any particular policy to protect it?
Yes, absolutely. There are various policies put in place. Our vision for the sector is to position the destination by differentiating our offering. So basically what we have unique about our country. You know, whether it's the most amount of waterfall, Sri Lanka has the most amount of waterfalls in the world, density.
Okay.
We have a lot of water-based and whatever. So we want to differentiate ourselves and develop markets and increase the tourist spend per day by giving them value for money, for something unique. So by creating sort of niche segments, who are pursuing, there are young people from Europe who come a lot for adventure, for example, hiking, camping, living in tree houses and things like that, which we have. We have many who come for water-based, because we are an island, as you know. So right around we have the sea, and we have 8.5 times the sea area of our island. So there is shipwrecks. There is the whales, of course, and the dolphins, and then the corals. So there's windsurfing, all the water sports. So a lot of them do come for that. Then, so the niche products, even the wedding tourism, there is a lot of people coming for green weddings, sustainable weddings. So we arrange them. We are very capable. We have the capacity to do that quite well. Actually, we have very professional companies and people who are very good at that. So Sri Lanka product is built largely on nature resources, our natural resources, which we have been blessed with. Hence, strategically, we need to ensure that our product is protected in order for the sector to sustain. So people are aware of that, the need to protect. And we are also very focused on guiding the SME sector to develop and, create curated travel experiences, where people want to and this is also all very sustainable. And it also goes back, what is important is it goes back really to the community again, very fast. So these are areas that we will work, and I'm really pleased to say that a lot of the funding agencies, European Union, for instance, helping us a lot with regards to the women's participation on sustainability. They've created us a hiking trail for the first time, 300-kilometer hiking trail. They've helped us to create that. They're helping us with the wellness. And so a lot of international funding agencies have seen the potential of Sri Lanka, and they've stepped in and they are helping us.
Okay, so you have partnership with the European Union for tourism?
European Union is helping us a lot, actually, free of charge gift, a grant. They're helping us with wellness. So they are making us visuals and videos. They're getting us bloggers and influencers. and they are helping us to create a microsite, etc. And also we are going to create a wellness academy. So they are helping us with that as well. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And now, well, to continue with the topic of sustainability, I also would like to talk about the use of elephants for tourism. How do you regulate it, and do you think that tourism can have a role to play in the protection of the elephants?
Absolutely. Sri Lanka culture and custom has had a very, very close connection to elephants. So elephants in Sri Lanka are largely respected. They are used like revered, and the people who look after them too. So there are some isolated incidences, and they have been taken very seriously and have been addressed by the government and the stakeholders, and we continue to do that because we are a Buddhist country, myself too. I'm personally a vegetarian, many vegetarians, so our whole culture is such that uh, all living beings are created equally, and we believe everyone has feelings. So the isolated incidences are being taken care of, and we have also created orphanages for elephants who have been injured for whatever reason, so that they are taken care of, not only from government actually, even private sector stakeholders have come forward now, and they are also helping us out, getting experts also to advise and guide and giving the nutrition for them to. So we are taking this very seriously, as it is very much part of our, if you like, our culture. So it is valued, and any issue with elephants is taken very seriously.
And you talk about culture, so now let's move into this topic. And can you please tell me what are the specificities of the Sri Lankan cultures in some key words?
Sri Lanka, we have diverse people and races. We have Sinhalese, Tamil, Muslim, Burgher, Malaysian, and all. So that historically we had the Dutch in our country, then the Portuguese and the British. So we have different culture, different names, different religions actually. So that's what makes us, I feel, sort of unique. What is prominent is we actually celebrate every single religious and cultural events. So we are very good at celebrating. So we have colorful festivals, and religion plays like quite an important role. So when you travel right through Sri Lanka, you see in every city Buddhist temple, you see a Muslim temple, you see a Hindu temple and a church. So you will see that in every single community. And the Sri Lanka culture is often reflected by also the use of art. You will go through our art, our history of art, our architecture, our sculptures, and actually even our food. Our way of life is quite simple and filled with humility maybe, and happiness. And this is one of the reasons why the Sri Lankans have a very great sense in sort of appreciating the simple things in life, such as nature, just sitting there and watching the sea, or looking at the sunset. So one of the main features of the culture is its Indian and European influence. We have Indian influence, we have Ramayana, 50 sites of Ramayana, which is Indian influence, and then of course many European influences.
And now, if I am a traveler who wants to visit Sri Lanka for the first time and in the most sustainable way, and if I want to also be in contact with the local population, do you have some advices regarding, for example, the activities I can do, the places I can go to, the transportation I can use?
Oh my God, we have 6 UNESCO heritage sites. I would recommend you go to them.
Okay.
I recommend, depend on your mood and what you want, right? So you can go to the beach, you can go to the beach and see whales, and then 10 minutes, half an hour later, you can see the largest mammal as well as the largest land mammal, which is an elephant. You can see leopards. If you have kids, a lot of the kids do like that, to go and see the wildlife. Of course, the water sports, all that. Also, a UNESCO heritage site is Kandy, a sacred city, Kandy. It's the 7th wonder of the world. The site is, of course, Singharaja Forest, which I would recommend. You need, I would say, minimum 7 days, but honestly, minimum, I would say, you should stay 2 weeks, you would be able to see a fair amount. Sri Lanka has 25 districts in the country. Though we are small, we have 25 districts. And each district, honestly, is unique. And it's worth visiting. And if you do have the time, you would really, really enjoy and connect with the community. I think that's what's great about Sri Lanka.
Thank you for your tips. I will write it down for my next trip to Sri Lanka. And before I close, is there anything you would like to add?
No, except to say that we have the most beautiful island in the world. And if you want to go to Asia, it's a great place to start.
Okay, thank you for your sharing. I've never been to Asia, so I will think about it for my next holidays.
Thank you.
I think now we all want to do our sustainable trip to Sri Lanka.
Thank you.
Thank you for this discussion. J'espère que cet épisode un peu inhabituel vous aura fait voyager et donner envie de découvrir le Sri Lanka. Comme d'habitude, si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à les mettre en commentaire. Et pour en apprendre plus sur ce pays, n'hésitez pas à vous rendre sur notre site web flockeo.com. Je vous souhaite un très bon dimanche et en attendant le prochain épisode, n'oubliez pas de voir le verre à moitié plein.